being considerate of others will take your children further in life than any college degree. Hello and welcome to the Sunshine Parenting Podcast, where each week we talk about ideas for raising kids who become thriving adults. I'm your host, Audrey Monkey. Here on the podcast, I share my experiences raising 5 kids who currently range in age from 16 to 26 and working with thousands more as a summer camp director over the past 3 decades. I'm the author of Happy Campers, and I frequently do workshops with parents, teachers, and summer camp professionals about social skills, connection, and happiness, topics I researched extensively for my master's in psychology. If you want tools for raising kind, optimistic, self-reliant kids who become thriving adults, you've come to the right place. Hey, Sunshine Parenting listeners. Welcome to episode 165, which is first being released on Friday, November 13th, 2020. This week's One Simple Thing tip comes from my book, Happy Campers, from the chapter, Make It Cool to Be Kind. It's one of my sticky note solutions. Take a few minutes to write uplifting, positive, encouraging messages in a sticky note pad. Then start leaving those messages around, whether it's in your own house, at a neighbor's house, on people's mailboxes, on windshields. You can leave these uplifting, positive messages around as a simple and fun act of kindness. Some of the messages I share in my book include, there are many beautiful people in this world. Never forget, you are one of them. Do what makes you happy. Only in the darkness can you see the stars. And you rock. The day this episode is being released, November 13th, is World Kindness Day. Kindness is something we all need to be focusing on much more than one day a year, but I thought I'd embrace the celebration this week and really focus on what I've learned about kindness and how we can help cultivate kindness in our children. Cultivating kindness in myself and in my kids and the kids I work with at camp has been a focus of my work for the last several years. Camp secret number 8 in my book, Happy Campers, is make it cool to be kind. In that chapter, I talk about the importance of us focusing in our families, in our schools, in our camps, everywhere, on creating a culture where kindness is embraced and encouraged. In the chapter, I talk about the research of Richard Weisbord at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. He set out to understand children's perceptions of what they and their parents value most. He surveyed 10,000 children and asked them to rate how they felt about the importance of some different things, including caring for others, achieving at a high level, or being a happy person. They were also asked to rate how they believed their friends and parents perceived these same values. His finding was that 80% of the youth surveyed agreed with the statement, quote, "My parents are prouder if I get good grades in my classes than if I'm a caring community member in class and school," end of quote. I think as adults, we can understand and see the benefits of kindness and caring for others. And if we've really learned to value kindness in our friends, partners, and our children. But as Weisbord's research shows, we are not doing a good enough job of teaching kids how much we value kindness or showing them how to be kind people. So unless we want to continue on the current trajectory that we're on of increasingly more self-focused, uncaring, polarized, depressed, anxious people, we need to focus on raising kinder humans. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it's on actual World Kindness Day or on any other day, I encourage you to think about small acts of kindness that you can do, or that you can do with your kids, or that you can encourage people around you to do to spread more kindness in the world. Here are some of the ideas from the World Kindness Day organizers. Number 1, set an alarm to go off 3 times. When the alarm sounds, stop what you're doing and call, text, or email someone simply to tell them how awesome they are. So they recommend doing this just on World Kindness Day, but I was thinking we could also just do it as a daily thing. Maybe have a timer that goes off in the middle of the day to remind you to reach out to someone with a little message of kindness. Another idea that they share is to compliment the first 3 people you talk to. We all know how good it feels to receive a compliment, but how often do we just neglect making those simple compliments to the people around us? So giving a compliment is a really simple way to spread kindness and also to show our kids a really, really important social skill. Another act of kindness that is something that kids can do is to write a handwritten note to their teacher. Younger kids could draw a picture, older kids might send an email or record a video compliment or recording for their teacher. But what an important thing to do, especially this year when teachers are really stretched and working hard trying to do something that for many of them they have never done before, which is teaching online. Just saying good morning to the people in your family or the people at work when you're in a meeting is so important. Sometimes, again, we just jump into the kind of content of things without just taking a minute to look around and just greet people. A really good way to do a family activity of kindness is to just pick up some trash. Even if you just spend 10 minutes picking up some trash around your neighborhood, obviously you need to do it safely with gloves or with a little picker-upper stick. But that's a really great way to just show our kids that we're being kind to our community. One of my favorites, and I shared it in the One Simple Thing tip this week, is to leave encouraging notes around. So you could place uplifting notes like inside a library book that you're returning, on a restroom mirror, at school. You could leave it on someone's locker or on their computer screen. It really feels good to get an uplifting message. And so just leaving a few around also makes you feel really good. Another way to focus on kindness is to spend 24 hours or dedicate 24 hours to spreading positivity on social media. So if you're active on social media, you might want to just spread some encouraging messages, quotes, share some of those amazing videos that are uplifting stories. Last night, my husband showed me a video of the first person with Down syndrome to complete an Ironman. And we watched him finish the last 2 miles with all his supporters around him. And it was just such an uplifting thing to watch. And there's so many of those, just really encouraging, uplifting videos. So sharing those really spreads some kindness and positivity. Giving an extra generous tip to a service worker is another way to do an act of kindness. The 10th idea shared by the World Kindness Day organizers is to send flowers to a friend. And I would just expand this that you can also just send a note to a friend. You could send a book that you really want them to read, or text them a link to a song you're really enjoying. Really anything that you send or give that just shows someone that you're thinking about them is such an act of kindness and really can brighten their day and yours. A few years ago, I wrote a post called, "Is Kindness the Secret to a Successful Life?" And it starts with a quote from Marian Edelman, which says, "Being considerate of others will take your children further in life than any college degree." I really believe that being a considerate, kind person who thinks about others is a character trait that really helps our children form good relationships and leads to a happier life as an adult. So, if you want to focus more on kindness and have it be a higher priority in your family, here are some ideas. First of all, get your kids to focus a little bit more on kindnesses that they have seen others do by asking them to point out kind acts that they have witnessed or done themselves. You can also brainstorm with them kind things that you can do either individually or as a family and kind of help each other follow through on these. It's much better to probably start with focusing on really small, easy acts of kindness rather than really big things. It's also a great idea to talk with your kids about how they feel after someone has done something kind for them or after they've done something kind for another person. When we spent a summer focusing on the theme of kindness at my camp, we had some questions that the counselors would ask the kids. These could work very well for dinner table conversation or bedtime tuck-in conversation. And it can be just to have a daily time where you share something kind they've seen someone else do that day or over the week. And you could share what's the kindest thing that someone has ever done for you, or just something small that someone's done for you. And again, just brainstorming what are kind things that we can do for our friends, for our teachers, for siblings, for parents, even for people we don't know. Another really great question to talk about and maybe make a kind of a discussion about is, how do you want to be remembered by your classmates and friends? I think a lot of times when we really step back and think about what we want to be remembered for, we want to be remembered for being a good friend and being kind and considerate of others. And yet sometimes we neglect to do the things and act on that character trait to really, really kind of earn that recommendation or that remembrance. One of the reasons I've focused so much on kindness in my own research and sharing is because it's a quality or character trait that I think many of us, including myself, have had a fixed mindset about. So we think of people as being born kind or just being naturally kind. And it's really important that we have a growth mindset about the character trait of kindness and realize that it is a trait that we can cultivate in ourselves and in our children. And this world, as we know, needs more kindness right now. And it really can start with us in our homes. Much has been discussed this year about how, all the things that we plan, much of it is out of our control. But something that we can control is ourselves and how we interact with and show kindness to other people. So I'd love to invite you to join me in cultivating more kindness in ourselves and in others, and hopefully take this day that is focused on kindness, this World Day of Kindness, and make it last much longer, make it become more of a lifestyle for us. I have a ton of resources and ideas available, and I will put links in the show notes to some of my favorite kindness resources, including the Random Acts of Kindness organization that has a ton of great ideas for spreading kindness. I also have a download that is a way to keep track of 30 days of kindness if you want to do a challenge with your family of just keeping track and making sure that you're doing something kind every day for 30 days. And I will share some of the ideas on there that I've done. And I would just love to, hopefully, through this podcast episode and you listening and each of us just doing a little bit of something to just spread a bit more kindness in a world that really, really needs it right now. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the podcast. For the remainder of 2020, I am going to be doing some much needed reflection about all of my different work projects that I have going on, including my writing, speaking, coaching, and camp directing, and determine how I'm going to spend my time and prioritize my work in 2021. I would be honored to have more of you join me in my Patreon squad, which is a group where I will be sharing more personal reflections and some bonus resources for those of you who consider yourself Sunshine Parenting superfans. Please check the link in the show notes if you're interested in being a supporter of the podcast and getting connected with me. As always, you can find notes, links, and other resources related to today's conversation by visiting my website at sunshine-parenting.com. Let's end with a quote from my book, Happy Campers. Regardless of the age of your kids or where you and your family currently are on the kindness meter, kindness is something that you can promote and grow at home. And the resulting positive changes in your kids will be well worth the effort. Kindness makes us happier, healthier, better people. I'm Audrey Monkey. Thank you for joining me for the Sunshine Parenting Podcast. Join me again next week for more conversations about raising kids who become thriving adults.